show up when the father shows up. And you start talking to him, and you start asking him, well, where's, how's the mother? Is she okay? And she couldn't come tonight or something. He says, oh, well, actually, I'm married to someone, and he and I have been married for about 5 years, and this is our first child, so we're bringing her for baptism. You all picked up on that, didn't you? All right. Okay, that's another scenario. Okay, here's another one. Same situation, same appointment, but the mother comes in, and there's no dad, and the dad comes with her, and so you get in the conversation, you start talking about the dad, and you find out that this is her second child. First one was baptized somewhere else, apparently. And she comes in and she says, or you start talking about, the father. Well, she says, well, I was a single, I'm a single mom, and I decided I didn't want to be alone, and so I decided I was going to have a baby, and so, I worked with the fertility clinic and had 2 children. Oh, this happened before. All these things have happened before. So it's the same kind of thing. You have to explain the faith truthfully in an orthodox way, and at the same time try to be as pastorally sensitive as you can be. But with baptism, as we're going to see, the church says we have to have a well-founded hope that the child is actually going to be formed and educated in the faith. And that's hard with baptism in infants, because a lot of situations, sometimes we don't have a well-founded hope. And how do we direct those people? How do we lead them? But we also just can't, we can't just say, okay, we just give out sacraments like candy either. Because ultimately they're not doing anyone any good if they're not receiving the grace of the sacraments, really. So these, I hate to scare y'all, but we get a lot of these kinds of things. I don't want to say a lot of the last two, but certainly the first one, where people just aren't connected with the church, and I would say a lot of times they don't understand marriage or what marriage and family life is like in God's home. So, there's a lot of remedial education that has to take place with the sacramental life and just the Christian life in general, that the world doesn't have a Christian mentality right now, at least in the Western world. There are certain places that might, but at least in our country, in our diocese, well, maybe not. So, okay. Yes.
The people who have the world presentation, they have to do the written report also, or are they exempted from the report?
Well, I'd probably be a little lenient if they can't get both, let them put in there, maybe a double.
It is the octave of Easter.
Well, really, 3 to 5 minutes of explaining the sacrament, it shouldn't be overwhelming, but if anybody ever has a problem, just give me a ring or send me an email. You know what? I'm pretty lenient. I hate to say that for class, but not about getting the work done, but about if you have troubles come up and that troubles come up. You're all, working out in the world, I understand that, so.
Father, another clarification. The tone of the paper should be as if we were responding directly to the person or group.
Well, you can describe how you might approach it.
Okay.
I know I need to say this, but I'm going to try to hit it from this angle.
Okay.
See what I mean? So, and a lot of times that's trying to connect with people where they are. But sometimes it's hard to connect with people where they are because they're just so far away, from the plan of God. And so, you do your best. There is no perfection in this area, believe me, because we're dealing with fallen humanity that Jesus is trying to raise to the life of grace, So, Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You know, because people have free will. That's one of the things we'll see with the sacraments. It's free will cooperation with grace. And we can be as kind and as charitable and as patient and forgiving and accepting and all of those things. But in the end, if they really won't give their free will choice to it, you know, to the truth of it, then it's hard to, you know, you can't do it for them. You know, there's no force in the sacraments. That's why when the kid comes for confirmation, and the parents and the grandparents just want to push them to the sacraments, make them do it, and the kid doesn't want to do it, what is the point of this? You know, you could almost argue that if you force a kid to do it, it could possibly be invalid because they refuse the sacrament even though they're going through the motions. And that's why we have annulments in the church, because people don't yet receive an annulment. Something was missing from their free will choice, so that the bond of marriage would form. And, you know, you have to be totally free to enter into marriage. And if you're not, if there's force involved, either internally or externally, undue force, that is, then we don't have a valid sacrament. Well, let's get back into that, okay? We need to get back to sacramental theology here. And then we can apply, see, the point is to apply all this when you're explaining it or in your very short papers. Go ahead.
So the examples that you gave with the children, so were they baptized or not baptized, or do you know?
Which one?
In the end, all three of the examples that you had given.
Well, they were all baptized. Yeah. Although one of them was baptized at another church, and had they come to me first, I probably might have handled it a different way. I don't know how it was handled then. And certainly, you know, well, here's a real case. I kind of developed another case, but here's a real case. Yeah, we got to get going. Here's a real case where there was a homosexual couple, and they showed up. Well, they didn't show up. One of the men brought a little girl for first communion, and they were with us for the whole ride, the whole year long. And we only saw the one man with her all the time, and we all just thought, well, mom was working, her mom was traveling, her mom wasn't there, and on the paper, it was written the other parent's name, but it was like it could have been a female name or a male name. So this particular person had a name you could go either way. So nobody thought anything of it. And then on First Communion Day, we noticed, you know, there was a man we never saw there, and he was with the other man. And then they came to the May crowning where we installed the children with a Marian medal. And then it was the two dads and grandma that was there at that. So we had no idea. We had no idea the whole time. You know, so it can be that sometimes people, because they want to avoid those kinds of conversations, that they find creative ways around it so that we don't notice or see, and they still get their sacrament. Because I hate to say it, some of our cultural Catholics is about getting the sacrament and not about a living in personal relationship with our Lord Jesus. And I wish it were. If grandma wants a baptism or grandma wants a confirmation, that's the most important motivating factor here, but not a real personal relationship with God. I'm not saying that every human heart desires that, but what's the priority, you know, at the moment when people are seeking out the sacraments? We kind of have to, you know, bring people along with that. And I gotta tell you, it's a struggle, because the world out there, you know, I get what I want now, and then I move on to the next thing in life. You know, that's kind of for everything, you know. And the church is kind of like, well, you know, it's kind of like McDonald's. Let me stop and get my Big Mac and move on, you know. And it's not that way for everybody, but when you're doing this, the tough work in the trenches, See, the faithful ones who really get it, that's gonna be, that's gonna be like a holiday for you, okay? You're gonna enjoy that. You're gonna enjoy meeting with people that really believe, and that couple that you prepare that just totally gets it, you're gonna be like, wow, But that's gonna be how God consoles you. Because the rest of it's going to be hard work, and you're going to suffer with the people that come in. You're gonna suffer like Jesus suffered on the cross for the salvation of the world. In the sacraments, in the preparation, when you prepare people for the sacraments, you go through the suffering, death, and resurrection of the Lord with that person. Remember, as a deacon, you will be conformed to Jesus Christ, and you will live the life of Jesus Christ in a very intimate way as his minister. The priest, obviously, even more so. Because then the priest, hears the deepest, darkest sins. And the priest goes into the deepest areas. But in marriage prep, you might be going, and you should be going into the deepest areas of life. Because if we don't do that, that's what I say to couples when we go into that. I say, we're going to talk about the most personal things in your life, because this is about your lives together for the rest of life. and we have to get to the nitty-gritty now, because if we don't, you're stuck together for life. We've got to dig down. Unfortunately, you get them about 6 months, 9 months to a year before they're already dead set on being married. So then if you find, whoa, I don't know about this, then it can be a real struggle. And half the time, in this day and age, it's like love blinds, right? So you gotta anyway, we gotta get into the theoretical. I could talk about the practical all day, and I know that's where the fun stuff is, but I think theoretical, if we don't have this stuff down, we're not gonna be able to really form people in the truth of the sacrament and what they really mean. So it'll be very, how do I want to say, surface and superficial if we're not able to do that. Can somebody tell me what page you are? I marked this, but
29.
you marked them though, but what's the
Systematic analysis.
Yeah.
For sacraments.
Yep.
we're past these components, right? What happens when you're 3 weeks away? Okay. Is it in attempting to explain sacramental causality? Is that the thing?
We did that one.
No,
Res et sacramentum.
Okay. Okay, just as a review, can somebody tell me in a very simple way what the sacramentum concept is? I know it's been 3 weeks, but anybody want to? It's the sacrament itself, right? So it's the matter and the form together. Right. It's not talking about the grace of the sacrament, but it's actually what word must be prayed and what action must be performed in order for us to have a sacrament. Without that, you don't have a sacrament at all. It's not even getting to the grace. It's not getting to the grace and the sacrament together. Okay. Anybody have what it says at the top of the one here? Okay, so we were already getting to. There it is. Okay. I wrote it on there, sorry. Okay, so the res et sacramentum, it's I would say it's the principal effect of the working of the sacrament. Okay, so if I have the matter and the form, successful matter and form, then the sacrament is worked, and this is the initial, you could say the initial grace, okay? Another way to say it is the inner sacrament. another technical way, the internalization of the sacramentum content. Okay, so the sacrament is worked externally, but internally then, the grace of the sacrament is working in its first effect. So, in other words, with baptism we have water poured plus the words, I baptize you. And these are words that every deacon needs to know by heart, which is the formula, which I'm going to ask you eventually is, so-and-so's name, right? I baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. And no amen, okay? If everybody else says amen, that's fine, but we don't say amen, right? Why? Because that sacramental grace goes on for eternity then. There's no amen for that. Okay, you're baptized into the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit forever. It's not completed. So, I mean, it's completed as much as it needs to be, but it's not complete until finally consummated in the heavenly kingdom, right? Okay, I baptize you, da 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 da. Okay, so in my being, I hesitate to say my spiritual soul because I am soul and body. My soul and body are not separated. After original sin, there is this kind of disjunction between body and soul, and we feel that spiritual tension, when we're struggling with sin. However, grace is meant to bring that union that already existed perfectly between my body and soul back into sync with each other. So in other words, in my being then, it produces the effect, the first effect, which we're calling the res et sacrament. Res et sacrament. So it's the baptismal character, which we'll talk more about the character in a minute. Okay. And then there's other graces that are specified, and those other graces are the grace of the sacrament itself. Okay, this kind of opens. This is an opening for three of the sacraments. For the principal graces, the principal grace, I would say, and the other sacramental graces. Okay. So obviously, when I receive the sacrament, all that happens, but you could almost say that this res et sacramentum is kind of like the breaking in of the sacrament that brings everything else with it. So, for instance, I received this character in baptism, and then what does that mean in terms of specific principal grace? Or the principal effect of me receiving this character is the forgiveness of my sins, the relationship with the Holy Trinity, and incorporation into the church. And then there are you can explain those principal effects in more detailed way with other graces, okay? Faith, hope, and charity enter in my heart, and other graces, okay? So, the chart that I'm going to give you actually lists all of this out so you can kind of see it side by side. Notice that three of those it's a character that's is the res sacramentum, and matrimony is a spiritual bond between the two persons that enter into that sacrament. Penance, it's the grace of reconciliation, the restoration of sanctified grace, okay? Anointing the sick, an interior anointing, and there are many other graces that flow from that initial interior anointing. And the Holy Eucharist is obviously a sacrament unto itself because it is He Himself who is that, who is the res et sacramentum, and He is the grace. Now there are other graces associated with the Lord Himself entering our being through the Eucharist. But Okay, the res tantum. Okay, so this is what we mean by the principal effect of the sacrament. Okay. And we'll go through this for each of these seven sacraments, so we won't spend a lot of time in particular with this, but, and I just said about baptism, though, the character then produces the effects of the, which are these: forgiveness of sin, relationship to the Trinity. Divine filiation means I'm made a son or daughter of God the Father, a newly adopted son or daughter of God the Father. We'll talk more about that when we get into baptism specifically. So, okay, so just looking back at res et sacramentum tantum, res et sacramentum, res tantum. Don't get too thrown off by this, okay? The sacramentum tantum is the matter and form, the external sacrament, okay? Which out, if we don't have the matter or we don't have the form, we don't have the sacrament. Okay, good, easy enough. Res et sacramentum, you could almost say the res et sacramental tantum, just so you don't get confused. Because it's the sacrament itself and the initial internalization of the sacrament in me. And then the res tantum is the effects of receiving that inner sacrament. So here's the external sacrament. I receive it, res et sacramentum. And then the res tantum is that it has effects of grace in me, which is different for each of the sacraments. And then there are additional sacramental graces that flow from those principal graces, principal effect of that sacrament. So the sacrament in me, the principal effects, and the sacramental graces. That's saying it without using the Latin. But you put all of that together, and you've got what a sacrament is meant to be all together. This is just breaking it down in steps, even though when you receive a sacrament, there aren't really steps because it's happening all at once. Okay? If you're open to it, if you're not open to it, it could just be the sacrament of tantum. Because if somebody isn't open to the grace, they're blocked from receiving the grace, or they don't want the grace that they're going through the motions, like we said, then maybe you have a valid, the baptism itself was worked validly, but the person couldn't receive it. We'll talk more about that as we go.
Father?
Yes.
What about if it's the other way around? I've heard the phrase ecclesia.
Single check.
Yeah. So the priest gets a baptism, or the deacon.
Depends on how much of an error.
Okay.
There are certain things you have to have for validity and other things you don't.
Okay.
For instance, if a priest is praying mass and he totally leaves out the words of consecration, it's just impossible for the church to supply for that.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean the people are responsible for missing mass on Sunday because the priest didn't work the consecration? No. Okay. That's where the church supplies.
Okay.
The church, they're not, there's no sin on their part, but we didn't have the sacrament. You have to have the matter and the form to have a sacrament. You have to. Okay. Ex opere operato. The Latin phrase ex opere operato means literally by the work worked.